My common-law husband is in Dubai and his side piece showed up at my door with her baby. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out even though she is basically homeless? My husband and I, 40 female and 41 male, have been together for 10 years and I consider them years to be very loving and happy. But apparently not for him, since he had a side piece obviously. I make furniture and make around €1,000,000 a year. My husband is a teacher. It goes without saying that I provide for us. I don't ask what he does with his salary. We live way below our means, however, because we are both minimalists. But we have a big house, nice cars, and lots of art. Everything is mine, however. Apparently, he met his side piece, female 25, under false pretenses, and told her that we were legally married, so he owned half my company, and everything else I own. When she got pregnant, he started spending his salary on her. I wasn't alarmed because I didn't know what he did with his money. Now he is in Dubai on vacation, and her lease on her apartment expired, so she just showed up at my door with her baby. She told me she was his girlfriend, and that he was getting a divorce, so she might as well live in his house, and I could live in a hotel because I could afford it. She didn't have any money or home. She literally refused to step out. So I called the police and locked myself in the greenhouse. When the police came, she was literally unpacking the child's clothes in the living area. They escorted her out. I was very shaken, and later I found out all the details I included above. My husband's mother thought I was an a-hole for kicking out a little boy on the street. That was her only grandson. That I used and abused my money and power to control everything around me. But honestly, teachers make $60K a year. So if, as I found out later, he gave her his salary, I can't understand why she would be so homeless and destitute. She had big designer bags, designer stroller, and these Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry when she showed up to my home. But now I am the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Pack his stuff and put it in the front yard when you know he's landed and on his way to the house. And let his mommy know you can come get his cheating butt from your house. Did his mom know about the girlfriend and baby before she turned up at your house? No idea. Wow, never thought about this. I assumed she only knew after I called her. But probably she did already. Take his stuff to mommy's house. She didn't raise him well, so she should take the consequences. If your mother-in-law is so concerned about the baby, she can take them in. She said she couldn't because she lives in a studio apartment. Well, I guess it sucks to suck for them all, huh? Boo-hoo for her. I would block her. And you don't need to entertain his explanations. It's just going to distress you more, and there's nothing he could ever say to make you feel better. Personally, I would pack up his things, leave it out, change the locks, make an intermediary for you guys to talk to, and block him. I would also consider locking the house up tight and staying somewhere else for a bit because he will be living on your doorstep, trying to get another chance. Also, you should get tested for STDs since he's been having unprotected sex. He can be homeless with her now, not the a-hole. Absolutely. He wants to take an early plane home to explain. What is there to explain? He said she tricked him into getting pregnant. I know that he hates children, but how do you trick people into having children? So many questions and absolutely no desire for getting any answers. I feel only emptiness. He doesn't need anything to explain. He wanted his cake and eat it too. He can sort the two of them out, and you can look after number one. I'm so sorry he has to be so selfish and dishonest with you. Pack his things into some big boxes and leave it in the garage for him to collect. Hopefully he can't access the house from there. Let him know you're done with his lies, and you need space to heal and move on from his selfishness. Not your deal other than your poor heart. His mom can take him in if she's so adamant you're in the wrong. Good riddance to her too. I'm sorry too. I thought he loved me, but he's a great actor apparently. Time for him to act scarce. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling the boyfriend of my husband's affair partner that she's cheating on him? I, 38 female, found out my husband, 40 male of 14 years, was having an affair with a coworker. I was utterly crushed. We had a really good relationship, and I never would have suspected that he was cheating on me. I looked the affair partner up, and she had a boyfriend of 2 years, so she was cheating on him the entire time. Obviously, I felt it was right to tell her boyfriend that she was cheating on him with proof. I would have wanted to be told in the same situation. He asked if we could meet once, so I could tell him what was going on. I met him, and he was absolutely lovely, ridiculously handsome and funny. It really solidified that cheating had nothing to do with a betrayed partner because I was feeling insecure about it before. He also offered a revenge lay, and I obviously declined. We agreed to confront our partners on the same day, roughly the same time. Afterwards, I told my husband that I knew he was having an affair. He immediately begged for my forgiveness and said that he was sickened about what he had done, that if I gave him another chance, he would spend the rest of my life making it up to me. He said that he was feeling insecure about aging and no longer being the man he once was, to get some of that back and to show off his wealth and power. We talked about it for a long time. I told him that I told affair partner's boyfriend because unlike some people, I don't believe in hiding things from your partner, and the blood drained out of his face. He said that the boyfriend was abusive and I should have never told him. The affair partner contacted him to say that boyfriend had screamed at her for hours and she was afraid and needed my husband to come over. I told him there was no way he was coming over to help affair partner. We could call the police. After all, he knows her address. He left anyways, saying that he loved me but affair partner's blood was on my hands if I said anything. I called the police and told them that I think there's a disturbance at affair partner's place. My husband came back later and he had a black eye. He claimed the affair partner's boyfriend got violent with him. He maintained that he did the right thing. The police just told the two of them to leave before they both got arrested for fighting. He said that he couldn't believe I was so heartless because I had read the texts and knew boyfriend was abusive. When I read the texts, all I saw were lies and lies focused on me because my husband would lie to his coworker about how the marriage was dead and that I cared more about appearance than him, that I was using him for his money, none of which is true. I have a better job than him and a better financial position. I don't believe the affair partner's sob story either. I refuse to apologize for telling the boyfriend. My husband called me vindictive. He's been telling his side of the family that, and I'm getting iced out until I tell my side of the story, which makes it more 50-50 on whether I did the right thing. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole for telling someone they were cheating. This all screams like a mess, and it seems like once he was caught, continued to make lies about it. Best thing for you to do now is divorce. Get your things in order and leave this manipulative turd stain of an ex. I am making steps for divorce. I would have waited until everything got set up for divorce, but it started getting complicated and I thought it was best to pull the plug. I called Cap. He's trying to guilt trip you into thinking you are the monster. Don't fall for his BS. Tell him you want a divorce and have his stuff. I think so too, or I think he's fallen for affair partner's lies. He probably likes that she is not self-sufficient and immature and relies on him for things. I want to vomit. Unfortunately, when we divorce, most of the money is mine. He's taking my stuff. Yep, she 100% lied to justify her being an absolute piece of trash. Yeah, that's a common tactic. Don't tell the significant other because he's abusive. Whatever. Anyway, I live in a no-fault state, and since mine cheated and spent a good amount of money on her, it absolutely went in my favor. Many judges don't like cheaters in family court. Not a-hole. First of all, how are you to know? There wouldn't be a situation if your husband kept his junk in his pants. He should be glad his job doesn't know. I am not going to tell his job as he is not her direct superior, but they would not be happy if they found out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because he ignored my medical emergency and didn't visit me in the hospital? I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 27 male, for 2 years. He has been my first ever boyfriend because not a lot of guys seem interested in me. Overall, our relationship has been good, but something happened recently that made me question everything. About 2 months ago, I started feeling severe abdominal pain while we were at his apartment. The pain became so intense that I could hardly move or speak. I told my boyfriend that I needed to go to the hospital because something felt very wrong. He dismissed my concerns, saying I was overreacting and that it was probably just something I ate. Despite my pleas, he refused to take me to the hospital or even call an ambulance. Instead, he suggested I lie down and wait it out. The pain kept getting worse and I was scared, throwing up and crying. After an hour of begging him to help me, I finally managed to call a friend, who immediately came over and took me to the ER. It turns out I had pancreatitis, which required immediate medical attention. The doctor said it could have been life-threatening if I had waited any longer. My friend stayed with me the entire time, but my boyfriend didn't even check in to see how I was doing until the next day. He sent a brief text saying he hoped I was feeling better. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. He didn't even bother to come see me. When I confronted him about his lack of support and concern, he got defensive and said I was being dramatic, and that he didn't think it was that serious. He accused me of making him look bad in front of my friends for something that wasn't a big deal. I decided to break up with him because I can't be with someone who doesn't take my health seriously or support me in an emergency. Now, after we've been apart for a few weeks, some of our mutual friends are saying I overreacted and that he just made a mistake. They think I should give him another chance, that he was busy and it wasn't as big of a deal as I made it out to be. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Yeah, no. 3 weeks in hospital for nothing serious, said no one ever. I bet if he has the sniffles, he's dying. Better being single than looking after a POS. Not the a-hole. 3 days maybe if he has a demanding job. But 3 weeks? You made a right choice. And get rid of those mutual friends. No one needs friends like that. The only thing that could excuse not visiting is incarceration. Not even 14-hour job or COVID. I wouldn't be surprised if the mutual friends are getting a very different story from him. I agree though, not worth keeping them either way. Not a-hole. People die from pancreatitis. And frankly, your ex sounds like an idiot. Don't give him another chance. Because even if it was something minor, as her partner seeing her suffering and crying, he should have still taken her to the hospital. That's normal behavior when you see someone crying and in pain, let alone pancreatitis. He's the a-hole. I hope she gets far away from him. I'd also leave those friends that told her she overreacted. I was just finishing a walk with my dog early in the morning when I noticed a woman in tears struggling in her car 2 streets away from my house. She dropped her keys and started to cry trying to pick them up. I picked up her keys and asked if she needed help. She said she was in immense pain and needed to get to the hospital and she was home alone. I told her I'd be back in 5 minutes once I got my car. Helped her into the car, and drove straight to the hospital where I waited with her until her husband came 2 hours later. If a stranger can do that, OP's partner sure as heck should have. Well, we know how he will act if his future significant other gets cancer. He will walk as soon as he hears the words. Not a-hole. I knew a young woman whose husband left her with young children when she was diagnosed with MS. Her parents had to raise the children. He was soon with another young woman, his 3rd marriage. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to get off his butt and do things for himself? I will try to be quick about this. We have a 9-month-old daughter. I work from home part-time and my husband works full-time away from the house. Most domestic labor is my responsibility. He will cook dinner occasionally. He does all garbage and laundry once a week. Everything else is me. I have no issues with being the homemaker. I don't mind cooking. I enjoy it. I don't mind cleaning. I love it. I don't mind being the default parent as I selfishly get more love than he does. It's the extra that ticks me off. So he will get home from work around 4 and relax with the baby. Usually setting her on a couch beside him or on the floor in front of him while I make him a plate of dinner. When he eats, I feed the baby. I eat after she does as I can't eat dinner right after I've made it. It might be an eating disorder, I have no idea, but it physically makes me ill. Then he goes outdoors to work on his projects around 6 p.m. Around 8 p.m., he goes and sits at his computer and either games or watches YouTube. During this time, if I ask him to hold the baby for literally any reason at all, he starts asking me to do stuff for him. Heat him up more food, make him cookies, grab him something from his truck, get him a drink, etc. Every single time. Never fails. Things that he absolutely could have done himself before I passed off the baby, or could still do even while holding the baby. On the off chance that I get to relax, I have at most 5 minutes before he is asking me to do stuff for him. I have told him several times that he can do these things for himself. His reaction is 100% day mood based. So if he had a good day, he will laugh it off and start baby talking. But babe... But if he's had a bad day, he gets pouty and snippy. I will just do it myself. Sorry I ask, and then never do it himself. So I'm made to feel guilty because he will just sit at his desk with his head hung like a wounded puppy. But last night, I was touched out. The baby had just gone 3 days teething and cranky. I was irritated. I didn't want to be touched, looked at, or breathed on. I made a big dinner. I served him. I fed the baby. I bathed the baby. He asked me to make dessert with him, so I do, just to do 80% of the work and not have any. I don't like chocolate or ice cream. I passed the baby off to literally go to the bathroom and he goes, "Oh babe, can you grab me an ice water first?" I snapped and said, "When are you going to do anything for me?" He says, I made you a dessert dish. So I told him that no, he didn't actually. I made him a dish and I didn't have any. He then goes, well, you're like an extension of me, so it's like you had dessert. Trying to be funny because he had a good day. I told him to get off his butt and do it himself. He said, but I'm holding the baby. So I snapped again and said, I do everything while holding her. If you're that incapable, then we have some big issues that need to be addressed. He handed the baby to me, grabbed his water and went to bed. He hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole? My mom seems to think that I should have just gotten him the water. You are so not a-hole. What did his last servant die of? He needs to spend 48 hours alone with a child to figure out how to do his own crap with a baby to watch, just like every other parent. My husband tried to tell me he can't sweep the floors while watching our daughter. I told him I do all my chores while watching her. Heck, I got a master's degree while watching her. He can sweep a floor. He does now, and she likes to follow him around to help. I was a nanny before I had my child, and I did all chores with the baby. I had one of those baby pack things and did housekeeping. Just make sure the husband knows how to mix ammonia and chlorine because they may not know simple things women are taught. Not a-hole. Your husband is a grown man. There's no reason he can't get off his butt to get his own damn ice water. Unlike your baby who actually doesn't have the capacity to do things for themselves. Your husband isn't supporting you the way you need. It's only natural that may stress you out. He's acting like a man-child. And you're not an extension of him. That's a weird, sketchy thing to say. That comment, you're an extension of me, really creeped me out. Me too. Like if he eats, gets to rest and relax, so she does. Because she's an extension of him, not because she actually gets to do that stuff. She is not another human being, working full-time, taking care of a baby and doing 80% of housework. The resentment that OP is starting to feel towards him is only going to grow until it ends in hate. His entitlement and silent treatment spell out future divorce.